We're now 34 days away from Inauguration Day here in the United States.
And President-elect Trump has already given many plans for when he gets into office.
Joining us now, political reporter Julia Manchester from The Hill to talk to us about Trump's transition into power. Julia, always a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, guys. I'm good, thanks.
Well, want to get right into it. So obviously we've seen some people kind of maybe moving their opinions on Pete Hegseth. That's continued to be the name that we see the most controversy over. What are we seeing in terms of the shift on Capitol Hill, or are people still kind of mixed bag on Hegseth?
Well, on Hegseth, I would say that there certainly is a shift in his favor. The senators to watch are still Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, and of course, Joni Ernst, the senator from Iowa. Joni Ernst is so interesting in all of this because she herself is an armed service veteran. She also is very vocal about speaking out against sexual misconduct, sexual assault. And we know that Pete Hegseth has certainly, made comments in the past, essentially saying that women shouldn't serve in combat roles in the military, and he's been accused of sexual misconduct. Now, Pete Hegseth denying those sexual misconduct claims and walking back his comments about women in combat. And it seems that Ernst has certainly shifted her tone, and it's become a bit more soft towards Pete Hegseth. But, I would say that for this week, all the attention right now is on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He is on Capitol Hill to woo and lobby senators, for his nomination to be Health and Human Services Secretary.
And Julia, I know we have the nominees up there, and in North Carolina, Senator Thom Tillis was saying that these nominees need to be prepared to answer tough questions from the Republican Party and maybe some outlandish questions from Democrats. But are the Republicans being looked at for the questioning of the nominees by the Trump administration?
I think they are, and a lot of these Republicans, or at least some of them, are under political pressure. Look, we've already seen one nominee, President Trump's former Attorney General nominee, Matt Gaetz, drop out of this, and that's not what the Trump transition team wanted. They want to get their nominees through as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So there's a lot of frustration. And when you look at someone like Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa, there's been a lot of questions as to whether she will face a primary challenger, over this question of her support of Hegseth or her support of Trump's nominees. Obviously, there's other factors playing into that. But that's why I think a lot of these Republicans are facing so much pressure. That being said, though, even if a Republican senator does appear to vote yes, or seems to be leaning towards yes on some of these nominees, there still will be tough questions for them. From RFK Jr., we know he's done a lot of work, a lot of rhetoric, or spoken a lot about, ultra processed foods, wanting to roll that back, getting rid of GMOs in foods, for example. That's going to probably result in tough questions from Republicans from agriculture-rich states like Iowa. You're going to have Senator Chuck Grassley likely pressing him on that issue. So just even if some of these nominees appear to be safe bets, particularly the Gabbards, the Hegseths, the Kennedys, they're going to face those tough questions.
Julia, I want to ask, if we go back to the Justice Kavanaugh confirmation hearings and just what a showcase that was. Some senators even said they possibly lost their next election because of how tough they grilled Kavanaugh during those. Speaking about Senator Thom Tillis here and kind of following on Will's line of questioning there, do you think that's in the back of any of these senators' heads that, okay, if I go too hard during the questioning, whether it be Gabbard, whether it be Hegseth or RFK Jr., that they're potentially putting their seat at risk when it comes to the next midterm?
Potentially, but I think it will come down to their ultimate vote on it. On the flip side, though, I would say that there's an opportunity for a lot of these Democratic senators in these hearings. I mean, Democrats aren't necessarily, they're voting on them, but they're not going to be the deciding factor in whether these nominees get through because they aren't in the majority. But at the same time, you look at someone like a former senator from California, Kamala Harris, now the vice president. She made a lot of headlines during those Kavanaugh hearings, and it definitely played a role in boosting her own public profile. So with a lot of these hearings, whether it's Republican or Democrat, these are opportunities, and they can also be seen as risks for these senators and lawmakers' political futures and careers.
Julia, up there, I know we've talked about Hegseth and we've talked about RFK. Who else do you see as possibly having a tough time when it comes to these confirmation hearings?
Tulsi Gabbard, President-elect Trump's nominee to head the Department of National Intelligence, or she'd be the Director of National Intelligence. She has a lot of questionable foreign policy views and a questionable foreign policy history. In 2017, when she was a lawmaker from Hawaii, a member of Congress, she traveled to Syria to meet with dictator Bashar al-Assad, and we know at the time Assad was committing crimes against his own people, horrific human rights violations against his own people. That's been brought to light now that the Assad regime has fallen and he has taken political asylum in Russia. She's also made a number of controversial remarks about Russia and the U.S. support for Ukraine, for example. So she's going to be facing a lot of tough questions from Republicans too, given the recent news surrounding Syria, and of course, U.S. support for Ukraine. We've seen President Trump and some of his allies seem to, temper their rhetoric on Ukraine, not necessarily being as supportive, still being supportive, but not as supportive as, say, a Biden administration would be. So for someone like Tulsi Gabbard, though, there are a number of Republicans who feel strongly about Ukraine and who have differed from the Trump administration on that matter. So expect her to face tough questions there.